Hi everyone, welcome to the ServicePRO Change Management webinar. Change management explores the identification and implementation of required changes within an organization. Effective change management ensures a smooth deployment of the change as well as efficient communication throughout the process with all stakeholders involved. It's extremely important to focus on minimizing the risk and impact that a potential change can have on any business operations. In this webinar, we will be reviewing project template organization for a change management workflow, automations and after events in project templates, manual and automated approval workflows, as well as a custom change management survey for our end user. So let's get started. We will be starting off in the end user portal as usual to first log our change management ticket. This page provides a unique and customized experience for each organization, and the page can be personalized through the organization's logo, brand images, as well as any additional company information at the bottom. The login widget allows new users to sign in using this link down here, and existing users to sign in using either their Active Directory credentials or their ServicePRO credentials. We will be logging in as our user Bob Stevens. As we've seen, the layout of the dashboard is highly interactive and user-friendly. On the left pane, we have the various options that are available for Bob to navigate, including the home page, a history of his log requests, a messages platform for communication with the support reps, as well as the knowledge-based articles. The Service Catalog widget displays a list of all services that are provided by the help desk to the end user. The Recent Updates widget automatically reflects all new activity that is taking place on the requests. Below, Bob can view his communication with support reps as well as some metrics for both open as well as closed requests. As the change initiator, Bob will be logging the change management request from the Service Catalog. We can now go ahead and start with entering our title. In this case, our change will be a software upgrade, and the information within the curly brackets will automatically be filled out upon submitting the request, depending on what Bob has responded within the change type and system-affected custom fields within the form below. Based on what we have entered within the title, we have now been redirected to some knowledge-based articles that Bob can review prior to submitting his request. We can also view a highly useful additional feature on the right-hand side that allows us to rate and review the knowledge-based articles. Moving forward, we can select the urgency of the request. This is Bob's interpretation of the importance of this request, and we'll be setting this as high for now. The additional information section mirrors the change management custom form that was created within the ServicePRO Object Designer. Here, our end user Bob Stevens has an opportunity to document all of the detailed, important information regarding the software upgrade by entering a start and end date for deployment. Let's just say that the start date is tomorrow and the end date is Monday. We can mark the status of the change as open as it has not yet been reviewed or deployed. And since this is a normal change as opposed to emergency, we can mark the risk level as medium. We can also now go ahead and choose our change deployer from the user dropdown. Peter Adams. The UAT will be a critical component within our change process. This test is performed to assess whether the new change is suitable to existing business operations and user scenarios. There will likely be a period of system outage upon implementing the change, so we can select yes from the dropdown and then go on to select which systems will be affected. We can also provide a brief description for further information. Quality assurance will be needed for the software upgrade, so we can select yes from the dropdown. Upon selecting yes, we have been prompted to another field requesting the QA sign-off document to the right. Having dependencies in custom forms allows the user to drill down and provide as much information as possible relative to the response submitted within the previous field. The rollback plan is also vital to the planning process. This plan is essentially a list of steps that one would perform in order to undo the upgrade and restore the system back to original state if needed. The approvals fields are still pending, as the designated users from within the system have not yet responded with their approval. As we can see, the memo has been pre-filled with information based on what we have inputted within the parent request of the project template. We will go ahead and add some additional information prior to submitting our request. And as usual, we can see that the recent updates widget has reflected this new activity within the system. We will now be logging into ServicePRO to review the home page as well as our new change management project request. We are currently logged in as Danny Ocean, who is one of the support reps and licensed users in ServicePRO. We can start by looking at Danny's workspace, which allows him to view at a quick glance all of the requests that have been assigned to him. Here we can see a list of the requests, including our new project requests, along with columns of further details. Messages allow Danny to view his communication with other support reps when collaborating on tickets. The email widget allows Danny to review and respond to all of his emails with just one click. If he's using Outlook or Gmail, for example, all of his information can be imported from these systems into ServicePRO. On the bottom half of the page, we can view a custom report that illustrates all of the open requests within the system, grouped by their priority levels ranging from low to critical. The next widget displays a pie chart in which all requests are grouped by their various form types. The information in all of these charts will automatically be updated to reflect any new requests and information within the system. The last chart displays a bar graph showing us the average time that it takes for these support reps to close their assigned tickets, with both agent name and handle time being illustrated. We can now go ahead and search for our project request and review our workflow for change management. Now, we can view the IT change management parent request along with all of the preceding child tasks on the left pane. The folders represent the different steps involved in our change process within a subsequent order: initiation, planning, execution, deployment, and close. All child tasks have not yet been launched, and this is because I have set up specific automations and after events within the system, which I will demonstrate as we work through the process. So we can start off by reviewing our parent request properties. Straight off the bat, we can see that the title has been populated to reflect the change type and systems affected fields from within our custom form. We can also see that our parent request has been assigned to the change management queue and category. It also has the appropriate form type attached. We can now view all of the information that Bob filled out for the upcoming software upgrade from within the end user portal. The approval fields are still pending, as we have not yet reviewed or approved any of these requests. Now we can move into phase 1 of our change management process, which is the initiation. The memo for each request within the project will already be populated, as we have filled out that information prior when designing the project template. Our initiation phase begins with the request for change. As we saw earlier, our change initiator Bob Stevens has already requested the software upgrade from the end user portal. This marks the start of our change process, and we can go ahead and close out of this request. It's very important to analyze and review the consequences that deploying a change may have on various systems and business operations. This is where impact analysis takes place. Through this, we can analyze the potential consequences or disruptions that this change may impose and develop a recovery strategy accordingly. This step will require the responsibility of a change manager. After creating the impact analysis, we can go ahead and close out of this request and move on to the impact analysis review. Only upon closing this request, we can see that the impact analysis review request has appeared below. That's because the entire process will be following a subsequent order, and we're able to set the project up this way due to the after events that we've set up. Now, let's just say that the impact plan has been reviewed by our change manager, Danny Ocean. We can close out of this request, and we are now ready for the approval. Danny will be manually approving the impact analysis within the custom form, and then he will be closing out of this request. We are now moving into phase 2 of our change management process, the planning phase. This is highly critical as we will perform all of the detailed planning relative to the software upgrade to ensure that we are set up for success and experiencing minimal risk. We will be starting off with the UAT planning to review all aspects that we would like to consider during the official UAT test. Similar to the parent request, we have populated the title with some custom fields from the change management form type. Upon creating and reviewing the plan, we can go ahead and close out of this request and move forward to the deployment plan. This step will underline the key tasks involved in planning, scheduling, controlling, and testing the official deployment strategy. Within the Custom Form tab, we can review that our change deployer is Peter Adams. Upon closing this request, an email will be sent out to Peter informing him of his role, as well as some important details regarding the project. We will now go ahead and review this email. Within the email, see that Peter has been informed of his role, as well as the request number, deployment start date, and the UAT and rollback test requirements. Peter can now go ahead and respond with his approval. We can now go back into ServicePRO to continue reviewing our project request. The rollback plan is extremely important to have in cases where one may need to revert back to the original system within a seamless and efficient manner. To the parent and UAT request, we can see that the title has been pre-populated with some custom field information. Since we selected the rollback checkbox from within the form, we essentially indicated that this plan was required. The planning approval will also be done manually from within the custom form. So let's take a look. Before we move forward, we can see that within the deployment plan request activity stream, Peter's acknowledgement and approval to take on the change deployer role has been updated. Since he has accepted this role's responsibilities, we will now be moving on to the execution phase. This phase will begin with our critical first step of building the test environment. This will drastically decrease the chances of error and excess risk upon going live. Once the test environment has been set up, we can move into implementing the new change. Our next step in the process is executing the user acceptance test. The initial plan from the planning phase will be executed here, and the software will be verified and approved for deployment. Factors such as feasibility, accuracy, compatibility, and ease of use will be assessed prior to verification. Upon closing this request, we have reached the final stage of our execution phase, the Change Advisory Board approval. This approval will be automatic as opposed to manual, and an email will be sent out to our Change Advisory Board member, Dave Singh. Upon detecting his approval, the approval field within the custom forms will automatically change from pending to approved. Let's go ahead and respond so that we can take a look at this workflow in more detail. As we can see, the email highlights critical information such as the request number, the requester, the deployment start date, the overall risk level, as well as the systems that will be affected. Dave Singh can now respond with his approval because he has been fully informed. We can now go back into ServicePRO to review the custom form field. We are now moving to the deployment phase of our change project, in which the primary focus will be the live execution of the software. We will be starting with user training, which is an integral step prior to launching the software within the live environment. This ensures that all users have been familiarized with the new software's capabilities. Now, we can finally go live with the new software, and this will mark the end of our change management workflow. All of these steps come together to ensure an effective and smooth transition to the new change. The project, however, does not end there. It is also extremely important to analyze user feedback relative to the change process as well as the new system. This is a great learning lesson and encourages improvement for similar situations within the future. Upon closing out of this request, a survey link will be sent out to one of our end users, Bob Stevens. Bob can now proceed to the survey link and respond with his feedback. Customizable surveys are a highly useful add-on feature within ServicePRO. These surveys can effectively extract the responses and feedback from all stakeholders involved. This is extremely important when reviewing and evaluating the project's overall success, as well as when considering how to improve similar workflows moving forward. We can now take the time to thoroughly review all user feedback and responses. Then we can go ahead and close out of this request, and that will mark the end of our project. We can now go ahead and close out of our project request. We must be wary that closing out of the parent will also close any subsequent child tasks. This concludes our webinar. As a recap, we reviewed project request structure for a change management workflow, automations and after events within parent and child tasks, manual and system approvals for change management, as well as the end user survey and responses. As a reminder, a link of this webinar recording will be sent out to your emails within just a few hours. Also, it would be greatly appreciated if you could take the time to fill out the survey that you will be redirected to in just a moment. Thank you so much for your time and cooperation.